If I told you that your morning cup of coffee, something you believe is harmless, even comforting, could quietly raise your risk of stroke, would you believe me? Every single day, millions of Americans over 60 sip their favorite brew without realizing that some types of coffee are actually straining the heart and brain more than helping them. And here's the shocking part. The difference between a safe cup and a dangerous one isn't always obvious. That's why this conversation matters. Stroke is the 5th leading cause of death in the United States, and nearly 800,000 people experience it each year. Imagine how many of those cases might have been prevented if they had known which coffees protect the brain and which ones quietly push blood pressure and cholesterol higher. Before we go deeper, let me ask you something. Do you drink coffee every single day, or are you more of a once-in-a-while drinker? Comment with a simple 1 if you can't go a day without it, or 0 if coffee is just an occasional treat. And I'll make you a promise. We read and respond to every single comment, because your story might help someone else avoid a dangerous mistake. If you find this kind of information valuable, I'd love for you to join our Health 365 community. Just tap the subscribe button so you don't miss future videos that could protect not only your health, but also the well-being of your loved ones. So, are you ready? Because in just a moment, I'll reveal 5 types of coffee that can quietly increase your stroke risk, and 5 other kinds that actually protect your brain and heart. Let's begin with a style of coffee that many people find elegant and even a little exotic: unfiltered coffee, like the French press or the traditional Turkish brew. It feels rich, bold, almost luxurious. But here's the catch. When coffee is made without a paper filter, it keeps in certain natural oils called caffeine and kawul. These compounds sound harmless, but inside your body they act like little saboteurs, quietly pushing bad cholesterol higher and making your blood vessels more vulnerable to plaque buildup. Over time, that kind of pressure can lead the brain to face a sudden storm it was never prepared for. I remember a patient, Mr. Allen, a retired teacher in his 70s, who loved his morning French press ritual. He thought it was healthier because it felt natural. But after years of enjoying 3 or 4 cups a day, his doctor found unexpected changes in his heart health. What felt like a small daily pleasure had slowly turned into a hidden risk. With some gentle guidance, he switched to a different brewing method, and within months, his checkups started looking better. So what's the safer choice? A simple paper filter. That thin sheet removes most of those harmful oils, but still lets the comforting flavor through. It's a small change, but one that could mean protecting your heart and brain every single morning. And speaking of changes, the next type of coffee might surprise you even more because it's often marketed as power fuel for your day, yet it carries a very different danger. A trend that exploded in recent years: bulletproof coffee, the mix of brewed coffee with butter and MCT oil. At first glance, it sounds clever. Combine caffeine with fats that promise steady energy. People online praise it for focus and weight loss. But here's the truth most folks don't realize. Butter and coconut-derived oils are loaded with saturated fat. That means every sip is not just warming you up, it's also thickening the traffic inside your arteries. Instead of helping your brain fire sharper, it can quietly strain your heart and increase the very risks you're trying to avoid. I think of Sarah, a 65-year-old grandmother who started each morning with bulletproof coffee because her favorite health podcast swore it was the secret to staying young. Within a year, her doctor noticed her cholesterol creeping up in a way it never had before. She wasn't eating fast food or desserts. Her daily health drink was doing the damage. When she switched back to a lighter cup of black coffee with a balanced breakfast, her energy returned without the hidden cost to her arteries. So, what's the smarter option if you crave a creamy texture? Try adding a splash of oat milk or almond milk instead. They create that smooth, comforting taste, but without flooding your system with dangerous fats. And while this might sound like a niche trend, the next type of coffee is far more common, showing up in every coffee shop menu, and it's laced with sugar in ways that quietly put your brain at risk. Let's step into the world of sweet, creamy coffees. The mochas, the caramel lattes, the frappuccinos topped with whipped cream. They taste like dessert in a cup, and that's exactly the problem. Behind the delicious flavor hides a heavy dose of sugar and fat. Each sip sends your blood sugar on a roller coaster ride, forcing your body to pump out more insulin. Over time, this constant surge can lead to weight gain, diabetes, and high blood pressure, all of which quietly set the stage for a stroke. It feels harmless in the moment, but your brain and heart pay the price later. I remember John, a cheerful 62-year-old who treated himself to a large mocha every afternoon. He thought of it as a little pick-me-up, nothing more. But after a few years, his doctor diagnosed him with type 2 diabetes. John was shocked. He didn't eat candy or cake every day, so he never suspected his coffee treat was the real culprit. Once he cut down on those sugary drinks and switched to unsweetened cold brew with just a touch of cinnamon, his blood sugar stabilized, and he felt more energetic than he had in years. If you crave flavor without the danger, there are easy swaps. Sprinkle cinnamon, cocoa powder, or even a drop of vanilla into your black coffee. You'll still get that cozy cafe feeling, but without the sugar crash. And if you think sweet coffee drinks are risky, wait until you hear about the next category. The ones loaded with so much caffeine, they can overwhelm even a healthy heart. Some people believe that if 1 cup of coffee is good, then 3 or 4 cups must be even better. But when it comes to caffeine, more isn't always safe. In fact, drinks like cold brew, double espresso shots, or canned energy coffees can pack far more caffeine than the body is ready to handle in a single sitting. Instead of giving you steady energy, that overload can push your blood pressure up, tighten your blood vessels, and trigger irregular heartbeats. For the brain, this sudden storm creates the perfect environment for a stroke to strike without warning. Take Michael, a 58-year-old truck driver who relied on energy coffees to stay awake on long hauls. He thought it was just helping him stay alert. But after weeks of heavy use, he began experiencing pounding headaches and dizziness. His doctor explained that the problem wasn't just tiredness, it was the extreme caffeine load straining his cardiovascular system. When he cut back to a moderate cup in the morning and swapped energy drinks for water, his symptoms disappeared, and he finally felt steady again. So what can you do if you love coffee but want to stay safe? Aim for moderation. 1 or 2 regular cups a day is usually fine for most adults. And if you crave a boost in the afternoon, try stretching your legs or drinking a glass of cold water instead. It's amazing how much your body perks up without the hidden risks. Now, while too much caffeine can be dangerous, the next situation is even more concerning. When coffee and severe high blood pressure collide. For most people, a cup or 2 of coffee may not cause serious trouble. But if someone is already living with severe high blood pressure, too much coffee can turn into a dangerous gamble. Caffeine acts like a spark, causing blood vessels to tighten and blood pressure to rise even higher than usual. When the heart is already struggling to push against that resistance, it's like adding more weight to a bridge that is already cracked. One strong gust, and the whole system may give way, sometimes in the form of a sudden stroke. I think of Linda, a 70-year-old grandmother who had lived with hypertension for years. Her doctors advised her to limit her caffeine, but she loved her coffee and often drank 3 or 4 cups a day. One morning, she felt her chest pounding and her vision blurring. That scare landed her in the emergency room. Thankfully, it wasn't a stroke, but her cardiologist made it clear. If she wanted to stay safe, she needed to cut back drastically. Linda switched to just one small cup in the morning and often chose herbal tea in the afternoon. Her blood pressure readings soon became steadier, and she finally felt in control again. The safer path for anyone with high blood pressure is to keep coffee intake minimal and replace extra cups with alternatives like decaf or calming teas. This small adjustment not only protects the heart, but also helps prevent sudden spikes that could put the brain in danger. And now that we've explored the risky side, let's shift gears to the brighter news, the kinds of coffee that actually help protect both your brain and your heart. Not all coffee is harmful. In fact, the way you brew it can make a huge difference. When coffee is made through a paper filter, such as a drip machine, something remarkable happens. The paper quietly traps most of the natural oils that raise bad cholesterol, leaving you with the comforting flavor, but without the hidden compounds that can harm your arteries. It's a simple step that turns an everyday drink into a safer ally for your heart and brain. I recall Mr. Davis, a 67-year-old retired firefighter who used to enjoy Turkish coffee every morning. His doctor suggested switching to paper-filtered drip coffee. At first, he thought it wouldn't taste the same. But after a few weeks, not only did he grow to enjoy the lighter, smoother flavor, his cholesterol readings began to improve. For him, the switch wasn't about giving something up. It was about gaining peace of mind and protecting the health he had worked hard to maintain. If you want to keep the richness of coffee while lowering the risks, this is one of the easiest habits to adopt. Simply brew with a paper filter, and you'll keep most of the benefits while reducing the burden on your arteries. It's a small change, but over time, those small choices add up. And speaking of small changes, the next type of coffee shows how even just one modest cup a day can offer protective benefits without overwhelming your body. There's a simple truth about coffee. Sometimes less really is more. A single cup of plain black coffee, enjoyed without sugar or cream, can actually be protective. Black coffee is rich in antioxidants, those tiny defenders that help reduce inflammation and improve circulation. When enjoyed in moderation, about 1 cup a day, it can gently support brain function and keep blood vessels more flexible. The key is balance. Too much caffeine strains the system, but a modest amount works like a steady friend rather than a pushy intruder. I think of Robert, a 64-year-old former mechanic who used to drink coffee all day long at the shop. After retiring, he noticed his heart would race in the evenings, and he had trouble sleeping. His doctor suggested scaling back to just 1 cup in the morning, plain and unsweetened. At first, Robert missed the sweetness, but within weeks he felt calmer, slept better, and still enjoyed the comforting ritual of his morning mug. That small change didn't take away his joy. It gave it back. If you're someone who loves the warmth of coffee but worries about health, the simplest path is to pour yourself 1 modest cup, savor it slowly, and then let your body rest. Try adding a sprinkle of cinnamon or nutmeg for flavor instead of sugar. You'll keep the ritual you love while cutting out the parts that do harm. And as you'll see next, even for those who need to avoid caffeine altogether, coffee can still offer surprising benefits. Many people think that once caffeine is removed, coffee loses its purpose. But that's not the full story. Decaf still carries valuable compounds like polyphenols, which help protect blood vessels and reduce inflammation. For older adults who are sensitive to caffeine, those who notice palpitations, poor sleep, or spikes in blood pressure, decaf provides the comfort of a warm cup without the overstimulation. It's a way of keeping the ritual alive while letting the body rest easier. Take Helen, a 71-year-old retired nurse who adored her morning coffee, but struggled with restless nights and a racing heart. Her doctor suggested switching to decaf. At first, she worried it would taste flat, but after finding a good dark roast decaf, she realized the flavor was nearly identical to her usual brew. The difference? Her sleep improved, her heart no longer raced, and she still enjoyed her morning routine. Helen often says she feels like she gained back both her coffee and her peace. For anyone curious about trying it, choose high-quality decaf that uses safe methods to remove caffeine, such as the Swiss water process. Pair it with your favorite breakfast, or enjoy it as an evening ritual without the worry of staying awake all night. Decaf proves that coffee doesn't have to come with a cost to your health. And if you think decaf is a compromise, wait until you hear how the deeper, bolder side of coffee, dark roast, can bring unexpected protection to the brain. When coffee beans are roasted longer and darker, something fascinating happens inside them. The heat creates compounds called phenylenedianes, which researchers have found may help prevent harmful proteins in the brain from clumping together. These proteins, amyloid beta and tau, are linked to conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. In other words, the bold flavor of dark roast doesn't just warm you up, it may quietly guard your brain from age-related decline. I remember James, a 68-year-old retired musician who loved experimenting with different brews. For years, he believed light roast was healthier because it felt more natural. But after learning about the benefits of dark roast, he gave it a try. The deeper, smokier flavor soon became his favorite. Months later, he shared how his memory felt sharper, and he enjoyed the ritual even more, knowing that each cup might be offering protection for his future. For those who want to enjoy this benefit, choose a high-quality dark roast and brew it simply, without adding heavy cream or sugar that could cancel out the positives. Pair it with a balanced breakfast, and let the rich taste remind you that sometimes the stronger path is also the wiser one. And speaking of strength, our final type of coffee may surprise you. It isn't roasted dark at all. In fact, it stays light and green, offering a different kind of support for your heart and blood vessels. While dark roast brings boldness, light roast and even unroasted green coffee beans carry a different kind of strength. These lighter brews hold on to higher levels of chlorogenic acid, a natural antioxidant that supports lower blood pressure and healthier blood sugar balance. For the brain and heart, this means protection over the long run, like laying a steady foundation that reduces the chance of stroke as the years go by. The flavor is gentler, sometimes even slightly tangy, but the benefits run deep. I think of Margaret, a 66-year-old librarian who struggled with borderline high blood pressure. She wasn't ready for medication and wanted to explore gentler lifestyle changes. Her doctor suggested trying green coffee extract as part of her routine. Within months, Margaret saw her numbers improve, and she felt more energetic throughout the day. She still enjoyed her morning ritual, but now took comfort knowing her coffee choice was also working to keep her blood vessels healthy. If you're curious, you don't have to give up your favorite brew. Simply rotate in a lighter roast or try a cup of green coffee a few times a week. Many specialty shops now offer green coffee options, and lighter roasts are widely available. It's a small shift in taste, but over time it may bring lasting support for your heart and brain. And now that we've explored both the risky and the beneficial sides of coffee, let's bring it all together with a warm conclusion you can carry into daily life. Today, you've seen that coffee is not just a morning habit. It can be either a hidden risk or a quiet protector, depending on how it's prepared and how much you drink. From unfiltered brews and buttery concoctions that strain the heart, to paper-filtered cups and gentle decaf that bring comfort without harm, every choice shapes the future of your brain and blood vessels. It isn't about giving up what you love, but about choosing wisely so each sip adds to your health instead of taking away from it. If there's one lesson to carry forward, it's this: lifestyle always outweighs any single food or drink. The way you balance sleep, movement, and stress matters even more than whether you drink dark roast or green coffee. But when small daily rituals can tip the scale, why not let them tip it toward protection and strength? I'd love to hear from you. Has coffee ever affected